This is the Good Government Show.
I think it is making a difference to people. I think it's giving them, I think it helps overall with greenhouse gases. I can't say how much or an actual quantity, but what I can say is that e-bikes are more economical for people who might not have the funds for a vehicle that even to replace or fix a vehicle is costly. And I think an e-bike is a lot more economical, and because Pueblo has pretty moderate temperatures, I think it's just another good way for them to get around.
The best part of this program is it gives essential workers that are income approved a alternate transportation to work.
Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Carol Dioria.
And I'm David Martin. Today on the Good Government Show, we're going to talk about bike riding.
But not just any type of bike riding. This is about a special bike for a very special group of people. Right, Dave?
Right. This is for essential workers in Pueblo, Colorado. But first, this is the Good Government Show. If you like us, tell your friends to listen too. Make sure to follow us and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please rate us where you listen to us. It will help us bring you more stories of good government in action, like this one. So, Carol, are you a bike rider?
Well, let's put it this way. Before I had kids, I really used to ride my bike a lot on the boardwalk. Sometimes I just ride through the neighborhoods.
Because you live at the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was really great. But then, the kids came along, and actually when they were little, I had this little trailer thing that I could attach to the back of my bike, and I would pull them.
All right.
But then, I don't know, then it broke, and that was the end of that. And
they got
kids
big.
grew up, and they got big, and then they didn't want to ride their bikes with me.
Aw.
So
Well, with all those miles of boardwalk, don't you ride a little bit?
You have to have time, David, to ride.
Come on. There's always time to ride a bike on the beach.
Oh, easy for you to say. So, Dave, I guess you're a bike rider.
Yes. Riding a bike is the best way to get around town.
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. Go ahead.
It's true. It's true. I ride my bike to the gym. I love my bike. No parking. I don't burn any gas. And now that I ride my bike a lot, I can balance. I can carry 2 full grocery bags on both handles. So I figured out how to be even. And I've got that down. In Manhattan, I take the city bike, either an e-bike or a regular bike. It's a great way to travel.
Yeah, but you're one of those guys. When I'm driving down the road, I go, oh, there's that bicycle guy. Now I have to swerve out of the way. I'm afraid I'm going to hit you. And let me tell you, there's no way. I am far too scared to ride a bike in the city. No way.
All right. Well, you certainly have to be careful. You have to pay attention. And yes, a little bit of fear and loathing for the cars and for that guy with his earbuds who's staring at his phone. But it's not always easy, but it really is a great way to get around. Did I mention there's no parking problems with a bike?
Oh, you did. Look, Dave, glad you get to ride a bike. But who are these bike riders that you met? Tell me about them.
Okay, so back to the story. So we're going to go to Pueblo, Colorado in Pueblo County. And this is a county, it's in south central Colorado. And what's nice about Pueblo is despite what you may think, it's actually pretty flat.
Really? I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, it's the front range of the Rockies. And this is the part of Colorado that's just east of the mountains. So it's considered to be the high desert. So it doesn't really rain that much on bike riders.
All right. So I would think that's good bike riding conditions then.
Yes. Not much rain, not much snow, good overall weather. And yeah, bikes are welcome in Pueblo.
I actually have seen people ride their bikes in the snow in New York City.
I have ridden my bike in the snow in New York City. In Colorado, it might be a little bit more snow, but yeah.
Oh, boy.
But the nice thing about Pueblo is really good bike riding conditions most of the year.
So you said e-bikes. Let's define our terms. For those people like me who don't ride, what do you mean when you say e-bike?
Okay, so when you think of an e-bike, it's a bike. Think about it as a pedal assist. You ride your bike, and as you're riding, a small motor kicks in. So you pedal, but you get help.
I will admit I could use an assist when I bike ride once in a while.
All right. Well, first we'd have to figure out if you're an essential worker here at the Good Government Show, because we're not just giving out these e-bikes to just anybody. And besides, you have a big car. But in Pueblo, these are the folks getting bikes. It's essential workers. That's who they're giving their bikes out to. So let me introduce you to Eva Castiglione. She's the transit planner for the area's Metro Planning Association and for the city of Pueblo.
So it's a regular bike where what happens is there's a motor on it, And we got two different bikes. We got a Class 1 and a Class 2 e-bike. Both of them go up to 20 miles per hour. And the Class 1, what happens is there's a motor, and once you start pedaling, the motor will engage. And so that motor can help propel you along the way. Those are nice. If you have a long commute, you don't arrive sweaty at your destination. If you have a lot of hills along your commute, that also helps. The Class 2 has the throttle, so you don't need to pedal to actually engage the motor, but both of them are very similar.
So I'm guessing the pandemic must have played a role here, right?
Yeah, and basically that's how this all got started.
Oh.
Essential workers needed to get to work.
Okay.
That included folks who worked in hospitals, who worked in senior homes, teachers, folks who worked in retail. Buses were running on reduced schedules, and, people just didn't want to be around other people who were not, sort of in our little COVID bubbles that we all sort of had. So the idea of riding a bike out alone outside, that got popular. And that's what led Eva to come up with this plan.
We thought that this would be a great opportunity to bring e-bikes to Pueblo and introduce them to Pueblo. E-bikes have become hugely popular. Colorado is actually known to be a very popular state to go biking in, and our demographics, we have a little bit older, and we thought that this would be a good opportunity to introduce e-bikes, but then also a good way to support essential workers who suffered during the pandemic and provide them another mode of transportation.
When I think of Colorado, Dave, I think of mountains and snow. Really, they can ride this bike all year round?
Yeah,
I have my doubts about that.
No. Like I said, it's high desert. Pueblo is really before the Rocky Mountains sort of, launch up into the sky. And I asked Eva that. We talked a little bit about that, and here's what she had to say.
We are very fortunate in Pueblo that we probably have about 358 days of sunshine. And we do have a few cold spots here and there, but for the most part, you can ride year round. For example, last week I was driving to work and it was 4 degrees, and I did see one of our e-bikers on the road, and he was out there, and he was well clothed, but he was out there riding, and I think once you get used to that, I think that people can ride year round here.
I talked to Eva in the early spring, and there had been some cold days, but for the most part, she said you can ride year round. Now, Carol, do you feel better about riding in Colorado?
Well, maybe in Pueblo. I don't think I could ride up a mountain, though, really. But I do like the concept here. They figured out a way to help workers and take cars off the road. It's like a twofer. And it's proactive good government. So how does the actual plan work when they put it into practice? Okay,
so Eva and Amanda Chase, she's the deputy director of parks for Pueblo County. They decided they wanted to create some type of bike program for the county. And a local environmental group basically lobbied for more bikes and pointed them towards something called the Colorado Energy Office, and that was providing grants for bikes. So the two women looked into the program, they applied for grants, and ultimately the state gave them $150,000. That was just enough to buy 42 bikes and put together a pilot project for the e-bikes.
All right, well, that's a fairly modest amount, though.
Right, but it got them the 42 bikes. And as we've seen before in projects like this and others, state and local governments, they get together and they're able to create something that works for the people. Now, when we return, we're going to talk about how they distributed the bikes. But first, a word from our sponsor, NACO. That's the National Association of Counties. The Good Government Show welcomes a new sponsor for season 2, and that's NACO. And that's the National Association of Counties. Carol, did you know that county government affects more people than any other form of government?
Well, I do now. Funny, you would think city or the federal government is bigger.
Well, right, but it's not. You think about this. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers. In most of the country, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government.
And we want to see good county government, and that's where NACO comes in.
Exactly. They're a nationwide organization that represents all 3,069 counties across the USA.
Now, that's a lot of support and, more importantly, brain power.
Exactly. And they have many organizations and committees, and they do things like share best practices, and they work together on national issues.
And they are urban, suburban, and rural counties that have different challenges, but they can still work together.
Yes, they all work together. So NACO helps county government work better. And as we see in this and other episodes, when county government works, well, that's just good government.
So thanks, NACO, for providing us with great stories and helping support good government.
And thanks, NACO, for supporting the Good Government Show. And remember, citizens, don't forget to vote. Welcome back to the Good Government Show. Okay, they got the bikes. Now it's time to get them to the people.
So how did they pick who's going to get a bike? I'm sure a lot of people wanted them.
Here's how they picked it. First, everyone had to be a Pueblo County resident. And they also had to make under $35,000 a year. And as we discussed, they had to be an essential worker. And there's a definition of what the Colorado essential workers are. So they went along with that program. But they put the program up on the county website and began collecting applications.
All right. So then what kind of response did they get? A lot of people?
Well, it was a little slow at first. And part of it is because folks just couldn't believe they were getting a free bike.
Wait, what? This is a free bike? They didn't have to pay any, like a down payment or anything? Deposit?
Yeah, essentially, here's how it works. First, you apply, and then you have to be approved. Then you have to pay a $150 deposit. That's just a deposit for the bike, but it's yours. You own it. The new bike owners, they have to basically keep it. You have to use it for 2 years. There are some usage requirements, but basically, yeah, it's their bike.
Wow, they just hand you a bike. That's incredible.
Well, again, the deposit, and they had to put a program together, and they had to go through the program.
We want people to feel welcome. We know that some people haven't been on a bike for a while. So we start off by having some of the local businesses donate granola bars, juice, water, coffee, breakfast burritos. So we bring them in. We'd have the conversation about what the program is, make sure that everybody understands what the intentions of the program is. Once everybody is comfortable, we get them a bike. We have them sign the contract. We go over the safety part with them. Then we actually get them out and we have them ride around our complex a little bit and then help them. You know, maybe they're having the balance issue. We work them through that. We slowly bring them out to the roads, and we even have some busier roads around us to help them learn how to navigate with traffic.
Okay, now we have the bikes out. The riders are getting used to them, and they're starting to ride bikes.
So these bikes, they have given them out. Are these just like you just ride the bike to work and that's it?
No, because remember, it's their bike. They own it.
That's right.
Right. And remember the other goal. That's to get cars off the road.
We want them to use it whenever they're going to drive a vehicle or take a bus or any other alternative transportation. We encourage them to use it. So if that means going to the hairstylist or to the grocery store or to work, that's what we're encouraging them to take, this alternative transportation.
But Carol, there's a whole other element we haven't talked about yet.
What is that?
Well, health. Riding a bike is good for you. It's a little exercise, it's a movement, it's some heart health, and there's no stress about driving in traffic.
Yeah, well, unless you get hit.
All right, well,
Has anyone gotten hit yet?
You had to bring that up.
Yes.
Yes. One person got hit. He broke his arm. But after 8 weeks, it's healed and he's back on his bike because a broken wing is not keeping this guy off his bike.
Uh-huh.
No. This guy's, he's a committed bike rider. But, you know, even we talked a little about the pedal assist, but even with this pedal assist, you know, you're skeptical. I know you're skeptical.
Right, because it sounds like it would negate the exercise that you're getting.
Well, you got to try one out. You still have to pedal. But I did talk to Amanda about that. What has been your pleasant surprise as you've put these bikes on the road?
Basically, I think for me personally would be how it has changed some of the individual's life. Some of them might have not been in the best health condition or, you know, we're walking every day to work and it's just the smile on their face has surprised me. I mean, I thought it would make an impact, but to me, it's a huge impact. And I guess I didn't expect that.
You say a huge impact. And from your point of view, what's the huge impact been?
Just the ability to go across town where they might have not been able to prior. The health promotion part of it, you know, it's in a pedal assist. So they still have to bike ride, but it gives them that little bit extra boost. And maybe where prior they thought they could only go a mile, now they're going 5 to 10 miles and they're seeing, you know, things throughout the community they probably haven't seen in years. And it's just given them opportunities that they didn't think they'd have.
And are you taking cars off the road?
That's the idea behind it. In a lot of cases, some of these individuals did walk. So you're replacing, basically steps for miles on the bike. In other instances, yes, they did take cars, they carpooled, they took the bus. So we hope that, maybe not 42 vehicles off the road, but we're at least hoping for the mid 30s.
Okay, so we have cars off the road and health benefits. I'm starting to get, a little bit of inspired to find my bike.
All right,
Maybe.
well, good. We're on the right track with you. All right. So for some of these new bike owners, that's really how they felt, the same way you did. Like, I'm not so sure about this. Well, I talked with Annette Santa Stephen, and she's one of the bike riders. She's a school librarian. She told me she was thinking about riding a bike a few years ago, and she was married at the time, and she told her husband she wanted a bike. And I don't think he got the message because apparently he bought her one of those bikes for the garden.
You mean like an ornamental bike?
Apparently, yes.
Where you put the flowers in the basket and it just stays parked.
Exactly. So that's what he got her. Not exactly what she had in mind.
No.
But after years of not riding, she has a bike and she's back on her bike. And she said there's an added benefit. She gets to talk to kids about bike safety.
Oh, they think it's great. They ask me questions about it because it's a little different bike with the motor and all. And they ask me why I wear a helmet. And I explain the safety of it and how they should do the same thing when they're riding their bike. And they ask me why the other teachers aren't riding their bike. And I just tell them it's their choice, that I choose to ride it because we all need exercise and it's fun.
So even though there's a motor on the bike, is it really exercise? I'm having trouble with this.
You're having a lot of trouble with this. Yes. Annette's going to tell you about that.
I noticed I have more energy and my muscles, they feel healthier. And inside, it gives me a good feeling knowing I'm out there doing it. I do feel a lot more energetic. I was having some knee issues. I went to the doctor a few times and he told me that riding the bike would be good, and I have seen an improvement in that.
All right. Giving teachers a bike to drive to work. I can see the benefits on several levels. I really do.
Yes, and so does Annette. She's going to talk directly to you now. What's your favorite part about having a bike?
I love getting the exercise and not having to drive my car so much because for one, I don't like to ruin the environment more than I have to. And I think the bike is the best way to do it because it's a plus for me and on my health.
All right. I have to admit, it is actually inspiring.
All right. And after the break, you're going to be really inspired by other bike riders.
I hope so.
You will be. You're going to get your bike out. Trust me.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Liquid.
So here's the thing about Liquid. They do their homework. So Carol, I'm going to give you a fun fact. A recent study found that over 80% of retail shoppers conduct online research before making a purchase. Do you do that?
Yeah, I like to know what I'm buying. But if you're a business, it takes more time than researching for a new TV, say.
Yeah, and for a business, you really have to do your research and you really have to evaluate who you're working with and make sure the company you're about to partner with is a good fit.
And that makes sense. So you want to stand out to other companies that are checking out your company.
And that's where Liquid comes in. They can help your business create a digital presence with impact so you can be impressive to new businesses and, keep your customers.
And it's not just about a website. See how much I learned about Liquid since the first season?
Well, of course. Well, Liquid's our partners. We want to know everything about them. And what they can do is they can guide you to where to advertise, and they can make sure your social media is relevant and that it engages your customers. And they make sure your digital story answers your potential customers' questions before they even ask them.
And that's what Liquid is good at, creating a full marketing and online digital presence.
Liquid's been around for nearly 2 decades. They have lots of experience and a lot of research to back up their plans.
And they have a team of designers, marketers, strategists, and developers. They can help companies in many industries with award-winning creative campaigns, content, and websites.
All good reasons to have Liquid plan your next digital marketing strategy. So check them out and talk to a Liquid professional. Visit them at www.liquidint.com.
And you will love Liquid as much as we do.
Because we love Liquid. We want to welcome back as a sponsor to the Good Government Show, Kutztown University of Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
And you want to talk about their rugby team.
Well, they do have a good rugby team. They just won a national tournament. And what I did was I called a friend. His daughter played at Kutztown. She played on the rugby team. And I asked him, what did he like best about Kutztown?
You mean besides the rugby team?
Well, yeah, besides the team, obviously the team first. But he responded to me and said something I didn't know. His favorite thing is the chicken tower, or it's also called the Angry Chicken.
What? I hesitate to ask, the angry chicken?
Well, it's such a landmark that it's actually the school's logo. It's a clock tower. And apparently when you look from a special angle, the clock looks a little bit like a chicken with an open beak. So It's the angry chicken.
Okay, then. Well, let's talk about the other stuff, like that their degree program in music business is now nationally accredited. They offer undergraduate certificates in cybersecurity and technical writing.
So is this what we do? Is this technical writing?
No. Take a class and maybe get better at writing.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. You know what? You would benefit from the new graduate certificate program and be a school social worker. Maybe you'd be nicer.
All right. Well, the point is Kutztown is a forward-looking university. They also offer Pell Promise scholarships. And for students who qualify, student tuitions and fees are all covered.
And that's just some of why we like Kutztown and are happy to be associated with this university. Oh, and my friend thought it was really cool that sometimes the locals, they ride through in a horse and buggy. So check out Kutztown University. That's Kutztown University, and cheer on their rugby team.
Of course.
Yes, please. Okay, Carol, are you ready to be inspired? Are you ready to get your bike out of the garage?
Oh, you're really putting to me. Well, let me hear what they have to say before I start looking for my bike helmet.
We'll get you a new bike helmet. Okay, fair enough. Let me introduce you to Robert Baker. He works for the Pueblo Cooperative Care Center, and this is a community assistance organization. He's on a mission to eliminate as much carbon as he can. So his goal is to use his bike for 75% of his trips. And guess what? He's getting there.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I'm all against the fossil fuels. So anything that we can create to lessen the hold on the air quality, that's what's the most important part to me. My convenience really isn't that. That doesn't concern me. What concerns me is the future of our planet.
Okay, saving the planet one bike at a time. I do like that.
Then you're going to love Robert Muldrew. He's the chef at a senior care facility, and having his bike allowed him to get rid of his car completely. Imagine that. No car.
I can't imagine that.
No car. All right. Let's hear what Robert has to say.
Well, you figure what it costs me to use a car, the health hazards of using a car, you're more inclined to pay more attention to traffic when you're on a bike than when you're in a car. You got less distractions because you don't have a stereo blasting in your ear. You're not trying to talk on the phone because you got two hands on the handlebars, things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for me.
Good points, I have to admit.
Yes, and he too sees the health benefits.
Well, I've always been a physical person. This just encourages me to stay that way, considering I'm getting older. It keeps me active instead of me saying I'm going to sit in the house today. After I get off of work, I'll go for a ride. I'll ride to Pueblo has this area downtown called the River Walk. I'll go to the River Walk on a photo shoot, just enjoying a nice sunny day. Where normally, if I didn't have the bike, I would probably just come home and turn on the TV.
All right. So at this point, has the program really taken off?
Well, first, have we sold you on the health benefits?
Yes, I would say yes.
All right. Good. Yes.
I have some doubts, but the overall, just the idea of getting on the bike, it really is a good idea.
Yes. So
it's a mindset.
It is a bit of a mindset. So yes, the program has taken off. The first 42 bikes have been delivered. There's a lot of things happening, but these folks got on their bike, and now for many of them, it's their primary source of transportation.
Is it working? I mean, is this program really successful?
Yes. 42 bikes. Many of these people have already personalized their bikes. They put on baskets, they put on holders, they put on accessories. They made the bikes their own. The county is talking about a second grant for even more bikes. And they think the next time around, they're going to target specific types of workers, like promote it with more teachers or perhaps hospitals, people who work at hospitals.
Okay, so they target specific groups. But let me ask you honestly, any flaws in this program? I mean, there's got to be something.
Nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's perfect.
Okay.
They recognize that the self-reporting system isn't always perfect, so they want to refine that. One bike was stolen.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're working on adding a GPS tracking system so they can monitor all the bikes. They're also talking about long-range plans like a larger bike share program. So there really is a future here for more e-bikes. And again, don't forget, they're getting cars off the road.
Yes, it is a small amount, but the point of this grant is every individual, let's say they used to do 5 rides in a vehicle and we have it down to maybe 1 on a cold day, then that each little amount adds up big in the end. And that's the point of this type of grant. And then they tell a friend, and then they tell another friend, and eventually, hopefully, it spreads.
It's already spreading, it seems, really.
It is. And one of the bike riders mentioned this, but Pueblo has a river walk, and they're along the Arkansas River. It runs right through town. It's got a bike lane, and the county is working on expanding their bike trails. The goal in Pueblo is to match other Colorado cities like Boulder and Fort Collins, which are the gold standards in Colorado, expanded bike lanes, very bike-friendly towns.
So bikes, it sounds good. Personally, I'm still not ready to ride to work, though.
But it could be done.
Yes, I will grant you that. And I
Yes.
like the idea of expanding the bike lanes.
So some folks ride their bikes a few miles every day. Some folks ride for several miles every day. But the point is, in Pueblo anyway, 42 people got a bike. They can leave their car at home. They don't have to take a bus, or they shorten their commute by riding a bike instead of taking a long walk. So for these first 42 e-bike riders, this has been a great program.
I bet. And no mountains to ride up and good riding weather most of the time. This is good government, really with a good solution for getting people to work and cars off the road.
So let's give the last word to Robert. He's the senior bike rider of the group, and he brought up one more point about the benefits of bike riding.
I know most of my people that I see during my day, I don't live like normal people do nowadays. They're always on the phone or they're always on a machine, and I'm outside and I get to meet the people in my community. So I know my community.
I bet he does. And I bet he waves at everyone riding by.
Oh, you know it. And he probably knows the names of everybody he passes on the way back and forth. He's that kind of guy. Anyway, that's how good government works in Pueblo County, Colorado.
And that's another story of how good government works. Works for, in this case, 42 new bike riders. They're essential workers with transportation challenges, now out of their cars. That really is a great concept. Off the bus and getting exercise and good health on their own bike. Great story, David. I have
Thanks.
to admit.
You ready? You ready to ride?
Yes.
All right. You're ready to ride. I'm going to get my bike. We're going to go down to the beach. We're going to take a long ride on the boardwalk. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Good. Well, thanks for listening. I'm David Martin.
And I'm Carol DeOria. This is The Good Government Show. See you next time when we'll tell you another story about government working.
Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please tell your friends to listen too. Follow us and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and be part of the conversation. And please give us a 5-star rating right here where you're listening to this podcast. Your support helps us continue to tell stories of good government in action. For extras on all of our shows, visit our website, goodgovernmentshow.com. The Good Government Show is produced by Valley Park Productions. Jim Ludlow, David Martin, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Jason Stershic is our editor and producer. Some transcriptions were done by Kofi, Ajeasi, Ampah. Our hosts are me, David Martin, and Carol DeOria. Join us again for The Good Government Show wherever you listen to your podcasts.